Good morning, Hamilton. It is Friday, February 7th, 2020. It is a day 6 on the day cycle schedule. Mrs. Cashman, it is good to have you
Good
back.
morning. Thank you. It's good to be back.
I
back.
think Mrs. Cashman's son was not feeling the greatest, so she was home being a mommy.
Yeah, he's on the mend now, but
Good.
yeah, lots of nasty germs going around this time of year.
Seriously.
So wash those hands and stay healthy.
Word of the week. Mrs. Staub stopped me in the hall this morning, and she said, Mr. Slusser, it is definitely the word of the week. And I said, really, all week it's been the word of the week. So it was a good word for this week. That word was lackluster. Outside, it has been lackluster all week long, and cherry on top this morning with some rainfall.
Some major rainfall.
When you think of lackluster, think of today and the rain and the gray and how it's just kind of dull and just not bright or exciting or anything that's enjoyable.
Boring.
Yeah. So let's get through this lackluster day because it is Friday and we are excited about the weekend.
That's right. All right, let's see. Teachers, if you could please, and students, this is really for you, kiddos. If you could please make sure that you are returning the cougars, if you have one of the stuffed cougars, please make sure you are returning that to the office so the next friend can get that.
Yeah, Mrs. Fishbach told me this morning that she should have 3 or 4 extra cougars sitting on the windowsill, and she has 1.
So we really need to make sure that if you were somebody who had that in the past or you have it this week, please make sure after announcements that you return that so the next student can get that.
And if you're passing it on to the next grade, that's okay. But if you don't need it or you don't or haven't earned it, make sure if it's an extra one, it gets back to the office.
Yep. And I think that leads us to, why don't you go ahead and tell us who those new Cougar winners are.
Okay. So this week, 4th grade, unfortunately, did not have any in the bin, so there are no 4th grade winners this week. But from kindergarten, from Mrs. John and Mrs. Hagg's class, Debanchi, I hope so. Mrs. Cashman have Kalia.
All right, Kalia.
Leon from Miss Hollenbach's room. Jaden Baldwin from Mrs. Haas's room. And Haley George from Mrs. Musser's homeroom. So
congratulations, kiddos.
So good work.
All right, and I would like to wish a happy birthday to Madison Schmidt and Mrs. Jones's 1st grade. Happy 7th birthday. And now I would like to announce the Cougar. No, you already did the Cougars. This is the positive office referrals. Mrs. Cashman will get back in action here, kiddos. Positive office referral, kiddos. Good examples in our school. We have Okra and Emmeline from Mrs. Shoemaker's class. We have Ray Vall and Jesselyn from Mrs. Jones's class. We have Damien and Chevy from Mrs. Kinser's class. We have Mia and Danielle from, I mixed those up. Mia from Mrs. Mogil's class and Danielle, Daniel, I apologize for that, and from Mrs. Abderman's class. We have Ethan from Mrs. Case's class. We have Emmy from Mrs. Slusser's class. And we have Grace from Ms. Mann's class. So awesome job to all of you. And make sure you come down after announcements to get your picture taken.
And last but certainly not least today is our Judy Blume trivia. Yesterday's question was, what was the character that Judy Blume created that reminded her of herself? Ooh. And if you remember, that character's name was Margaret. So, let's see if this person got it right. What do you think?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't think
so.
Good try to that friend, but not quite. They had the first letter right.
They did have the first letter. I needed Mrs. Cashman's help for that.
Yes. He needs somebody who can read special handwriting. That's me. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. From kindergarten.
No, from 1st grade.
No, 1st grade. Oh, that's a 1C.
That's a 1C. He thought it was a K separated.
Yeah, I thought, sorry. So that's from Mrs. Cashman's room. I hear you again. Bringing it again. George.
That's George.
George.
So good job, George.
Margaret was
proud of you.
Yeah, there you go. So congratulations to George from Mrs. Cashman's room. Congratulations. Good listening and good memory.
All right, here you want me to tell the question?
Yeah,
or you want me to read today? I feel like you always have to read, huh? Okay, here we go. We're listening for what topic did Judy write about to help children? So it might even be a topic that could be a little tricky sometimes to understand for kids. So what topic did Judy write about to help children?
And this answer is a little harder today. It doesn't explicitly say it, so you have to make sure you're being a good listener and thinking about everything Judy wrote about. Judy began to write as fast as she could. In 1972, she published 3 books. One was called It's Not the End of the World. It is about a girl who is struggling with her parents' divorce. In the early 1970s, divorce was becoming more common, but it still could seem unusual in lots of places. Many children of divorce might not have known anyone else who had divorced parents, and maybe they sometimes felt alone and unsure of the world. Judy's main character, Karen, had the same fears and doubts that many of her young readers did. So there was one topic that this whole page talked about that Judy wrote in her stories that tried to help the children that would read her book. So what was that topic that Judy wrote about most often?
All right, and that just about does it for us today,
That's
Hamilton.
Right.
We hope that you have a fantastic weekend, and please rise for the national anthem and the pledge to the flag.
Have a great day.